Peace, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. You are watching the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. Today, we offer day 210 of the War on Gaza report. That's right. Israel's genocidal war on Gaza has reached day 210. And as always, we're here to offer you live updates. We're here to give you analysis that sits outside the reach of mainstream media. We want to tell a different story. We want to give a different understanding to the world of what's happening in the Gaza Strip. It's not a narrative that we decided to paint for ourselves. It's not a narrative or a story that's rooted in any kind of I won't say it's rooted in a political commitment, but we're being fair. In other words, there's no such thing as neutral news. There's no such thing as objective news, but there is fair news. You can tell a story using the best tools we have, with the best analysis we have to make sense of what's going on. And the problem is mainstream corporate media has had us thinking that this is the Israel-Hamas war. That's not what's happening. There are people who have you thinking this is a war on terror. That's not what's happening. This is a full-fledged genocidal war that Israel is waging on the Palestinian people that reflects a longer, in fact, a 100 years war, as Rashid Khalidi would say, a 100-year war on the Palestinian people. And so as we cover what's happening in Gaza, it's not, our analysis is not animated by anything other than a desire for justice and a desire to tell the truth about what's happening. And we begin with the numbers because that's where we must begin. As of today, at least 34,622 Palestinians have been killed, and 77,867 Palestinians have been wounded in Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip since October 7th. Those numbers have not stayed still for one day. Every day, Palestinians are killed. It's also important to note, for context, that the death toll in Israel from Hamas's October 7th attack stands at 1,139, with dozens of people still held captive. We've seen an October 7th attack that, whatever you think about it, killed over 1,000 people. And we've seen a response that is approaching 40,000 people. When we count the people in the rubble, it's over 40,000 people. This is morally indefensible. But according to the reports, we may be seeing some daylight. Not that this is all going to end, but there have been at least conversations. A Hamas delegation has arrived maybe about 15 minutes ago in Egypt, because you got to remember it's 5 a.m. in Egypt, ish, maybe 4. Let me see. Yeah, a Hamas delegation arrives in Egypt for what appears to be, according to Al Jazeera, do or die negotiations on a ceasefire, with the movement saying it is, quote, determined to achieve an agreement. Now, this is important because, again, corporate media, mainstream media will have you thinking that Hamas is being recalcitrant, that they're being inexplicably stubborn, that they're not desiring peace. That's always the narrative. Hamas doesn't want peace. They want to keep this thing going. That's not exactly what's happening here. In fact, based on the latest reports about the negotiations, Israel is giving Hamas 1 week to agree to a ceasefire and a prisoner captive exchange deal. And they're saying that if you don't do it in the next 7 days, that is from today, May 3rd and or May 4th, if you're in the Middle East, there's going to be a full ground invasion in Rafah. So Israel is giving the ultimatums now. Look, either you give up the hostages, give up the prisoners, or we invade Rafah. Now, if Rafah poses an existential threat and the invasion of Rafah is a necessary thing to save Israeli lives, it's hard to believe that Benjamin Netanyahu has been just holding his powder for 4 months. And he's been promising a Gaza invasion, a Rafah invasion for at least 2 months. This is collective punishment. Hamas exists everywhere. They're hiding behind every baby, every child, every pizza oven, every Cinnabon. Wherever you are in the world, Hamas is there. And Israel uses that claim, that unproven claim, to justify indiscriminate bombing, to justify the killing of civilians. And um, at a moment where Rafah could be invaded, which would lead to the death, either directly or indirectly, of hundreds of thousands of people potentially, but certainly tens of thousands of people, you realize Israel's not trying to avoid a war or an invasion of Rafah, and they're not trying to avoid conflict. Every couple of years, Israel does something, and Norman Finkelstein talks about this. Israel does something that he refers to in Gaza as mowing the lawn. Mowing the lawn. It's when they do these military incursions into the Gaza Strip. They kill some people, they manage the population, they also engage in a certain kind of disciplinary intimidation. Then they go back to business as usual, which is siege, bombardment, occupation, apartheid. This is the reality. Palestinian lives are rendered disposable within the logics of global imperialism and white supremacy and all these things. Joe Biden doesn't care about Palestinians. The leaders of France and Germany don't care about Palestinians. This is tragic and it's frustrating. And so when you hear Netanyahu say, "Look, yeah, we're trying to make a deal, but you got 1 week, we have a ground invasion." That's not a proper power dynamic. You also know that Netanyahu over the last couple of days has said he's open to a ceasefire as long as he's still allowed to invade Rafah. What kind of ceasefire enables you to invade and potentially kill 1.5 million people in Rafah right now? It's wild. Anyway, the desire to close a deal is not just in the hands of Hamas. It's not just in the hands of Netanyahu. The global community is saying the same thing. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has been pressing Israel and Hamas, the state of Israel and the Hamas leadership, to reach a conclusion to this thing. He said, for the sake of the people of Gaza, the hostages and their families, and the region, and the higher world, they should reach a truce deal. Other people waiting too, including the UN Office for the Coordination of Human Affairs. It says hundreds of thousands of people are, quote, at imminent risk for death if Israel carries out that ground invasion in Rafah. And Netanyahu does. He's basically saying, if you don't play ball, then yeah. Crying in baseball, friends in politics, right? An Israeli attack killed 54 people over the course of 2 days, between Wednesday and Friday. Right now, where I am, it's Friday. Between Wednesday and Friday, 54 Palestinians, 54 in less than 48 hours were killed in the Gaza Strip. 100 were injured. This isn't getting better, y'all. I could give you 50 other examples, but it's not getting better. But we need it to get better. We need to keep Gaza at the forefront of our minds. We need to be thinking about justice. We need to be engaged in deep analysis, not just of like public policy, but also public media. Like, we should be reading these stories. We should be finding out what's happening in Gaza. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Fam, I'm headed over to night school for a quick Q&A, and I'm going to meet y'all over there. So hit the like button here on the War on Gaza report. Let YouTube know that you want these kinds of reports. Hit the subscribe button if you're so inclined. Hit the join button. Become a routine and regular and formal member of the channel. And of course, if you want to bypass all that, you can always just go to Cash App or Venmo and drop something in. Again, the money goes to supporting our colleagues. It goes to editing footage. It goes to paying for a studio. It goes for all the things that we're trying to grow into. We ain't got no studio yet, right? We're trying to grow into, and that's where your funds go. And none of it is wasted. None of it is taken in vain. Anyway. All right, family. I will see you over at night school. So head out here and go right into night school. I'll see y'all. Peace.